This is the men's room.
Forget it, man, and get with the countdown. Shake this square world and blast off for Kicksville. The Trippers, the Grasshoppers, the Hip Ones, all gathered in secrecy and flying high as a kite.
You're listening to the men's room with Miles and Thrill.
Our listeners are jumping on at 96.5 WCMF Rochester's Classic Rock, also the Rock in Kansas City, 98.9, joining us, and Portland's Classic Rock, KGON. Of course, Anchorage been with us all morning there up at KZND. So here's what we got for you. Drunk and Charged Ryan Castle coming in to sit and spin today. The top 10 highest earning dead celebrities. What you don't need to know has things that we don't talk about normally, at least out loud, but do in the privacy of our own home. And our question today, in your lifetime, what would you describe as, quote, the incident? 844-999-OLA.
And again, the question is, in your lifetime, what would you describe as the incident? Somehow this has been mistaken as, tell us about your poop.
Yes, we've covered that pretty well, I think.
So we've had two poop stories so far. One woman was constipated and chipped away at it until finally she could release. Story we just heard was a woman who's eating lunch in a car on an important business call, and she poops herself, thinking it's a fart. All right, so poop has now been the topic. Here's a comment that comes in. My grandson pooped so big he blew out his butthole. Hospital had to use surgery.
Jesus.
Had to have surgery.
Oh.
You can do that?
To have his butthole reinstalled, in the way it's supposed to be.
Well, if he didn't get an episiotomy before he pooped, then yeah, it probably has to be. Well, that's what happens when you give birth.
Hang on.
Oftentimes it tears a little bit because of the size of the baby's head or whatever, and they basically do the same thing on the other side.
I just assumed the door would get bigger and just let it out.
It does, but sometimes that door, you just crash. You crash through the door.
Yeah.
The sofa was too big to move it out. Then it says, as far as a woman who just called, she said she had to cut the cheese, but instead she poured the nacho sauce. That was her description of pooping herself. It says, effing ruined nacho cheese for me. F you, men's room.
That was pretty gross.
Well, I think she needed to really establish how bad it was.
In your lifetime, what would you describe as, quote, the incident? There we go to the phones.
Hello, Shad. Welcome to the men's room.
Hola.
Hola.
How are we doing today, guys?
Oh, hopefully you
Living
can
a dream, right?
Yeah, hopefully you can bring us
the brown dream.
something different.
All right, so this incident happened at work, and this is just like a week ago. I'm a truck driver, and I was in downtown Seattle, just a block away from like the UW Tower, and I'm trying to deliver some material to a job site, and I pull off on this side street, and there's a guy just standing in the middle of the street, kind of wondering, what's going on? And the guy's got his eyes closed. He's kind of he's doing what I call the dope fiend lean, just kind of swaying to the beat of his own drum, right? And so I stop, got my four-ways on. I pick up my phone, call the cops because I'm not going to deal with this guy. I don't know what he's on. And a guy pulls out of an alleyway right in front of me, and in the meantime, this guy had laid down in the middle of the street, set his garbage bag down, curled up, and decided he was going to take a nap.
And this is in the middle of the street.
The middle of the street. And a guy pulled out, and as I'm grabbing my phone, a guy pulls out in front of me from an alleyway parking lot. And so I waved my arms at him, and he didn't pay any attention, and I blasted my air horn at him, and still no go. And he proceeded to run over this guy and drag him down the street for about a full city block. And, you could see the car, bouncing up and down. And by the time he stopped, his legs were sticking out of the back end of the car, and his head was kind of like a chalk block up against the rear tire.
Jesus.
And so then we proceeded. I jumped out of my truck and ran up to the car, and there's a lady that's just going ballistic. I feel so bad for her.
Was she the one driving?
No, she was just a bystander. By now, there's 20, 30 people looking because, I've got an air horn on my truck that I hit, and it's... it's like a train going by.
I got to ask you.
What's going on?
What did the driver think that everyone was trying to stop him for? Was he just completely oblivious?
I have no idea. I'm pretty sure he was looking down at his phone. He pulled out, and then when I hit my air horn, it's like, hurry up, get in front of the truck. Oh my God! And then I figure once when he ran over the guy, he kind of panicked and slammed on the gas. I don't know.
Panicked and slammed on the gas. That's like the exact opposite.
That's what happened.
Wow.
So how was the guy?
Oh, it was bad. I ran up, and I was like, all right, we got to lift this car off. And it's just me and this lady, and everybody's just kind of staring at it. So I start yelling, and finally a couple of guys come over, and we pick up the car, and she pulls this guy out, and his nose is, on the side of his face.
Oh.
His legs are all twisted up and mangled. He's got blood coming out of his ears and his mouth, and it was bad. And on top of it, after we got the guy out from under the car, you look down at the street, and there's just drug paraphernalia, littered from where the guy got hit all the way down the street. There's needles and drugs opened up. And,
you should have taken a picture of that and sent it to the DARE program. Like, hey, kids, here's something that happened.
But you don't know ultimately if this guy made it or not, right?
I have no idea.
Did you have to stay there to file a police report?
So like I said, I'm a truck driver. I had, a full-size semi, and it would have been blocking all the emergency services, so I had to kind of weasel my way out of there. And the job site I was going to, is right around the corner, right below UW Tower.
Right, yeah. Okay.
Hey, man, at least you did something. It amazes me how people, after
you had to scream at someone to help you.
But that's how it always goes.
Again.
People just stand around. You're like, Jesus Christ, man. And look, I understand people have become apathetic and no one actually cares about each other, blah, blah, blah. I get it. But in the moments that you witness something go down, generally, at least my belief up until the last couple of years was that people do spring into action, to do the right thing. And you're like, but they don't.
They just kind of watch.
It is remarkable.
They almost whip out the phone and start videoing.
Oh, that's the first 100%. And then you hear their commentary, right? So, like, here's the video taken from one of our viewers, and they show the video, and the whole time that this person's taping something, like, I can't believe nobody's doing anything about this. I mean, look at, and you're listening to them say, couldn't go do something.
The best one ever. If you guys have neighborhood blogs, I have a neighborhood blog, so not a blog, but a website. They post, whatever. So there was an establishment that burned down in my neighborhood. Okay. And had been there for a number of years. And the eyewitness, okay, so like the first person on the scene, or one of the first people there, they're taking video of this house. Basically, it was a place. The restaurant was in a house, and it's engulfed.
You could hear the baby screaming inside.
And look. The flames are shooting 10, 12 feet, 15 feet out of like a hole in the roof that had opened up.
Yeah.
So you see this, and then there's video footage of the guy who he's filming it. And another guy walks up beside him because it's like at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning or something. It's late. And he says to the guy, "Oh, my God," he said, "has anyone called, 911 or the cops?" No. And the guy filming it, you can hear him audibly goes, "No, I'll shut this off and do that now."
You got to be kidding.
So,
I mean, come on.
And then that's how the video ends. The video ends with a guy who's filming it going, "Oh, well, no, I'll shut it off and call him now."
You have a phone in your hand,
but it didn't occur to you. And you're the only one out there, and you're taking video of it, but you never thought to call 911.
Why would you call? I mean, that's the natural instinct.
First thing that you would do.
No, apparently it's not the natural instinct. That's the problem. We think it is, but it's not.
All right, but here's the problem. And here's the problem with that all. So, as usual, most of these blogs contain a comment section.
Of course.
And comments come in like, "Oh, that was my favorite restaurant."
Right.
"Oh, that's blah, 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 when will they reopen?" No one even noticed that the guy, like that would be my number one comment. You know what I mean? Like,
why didn't you call 911?
Even the people who are watching it, none of this is clicking in. Like, it's just like, oh my God.
Does it not explain so much, though?
It does.
Just when you read the news, you're like, what's wrong with people? And then when you kind of witness it on this level, you're like, that's it. It's just apathy. No one actually cares. A few people care about a few things, and they're vocal, whatever it might be. Collectively, we don't care.
Right.
And that's where things don't change.
And this was a house. Also, very close to a number of buildings too. I mean, it wasn't like it could have set the neighboring house on fire. It was close. These houses are close.
Yeah, I don't think it's necessarily not that people don't care, but with phones and apps, people are just so used to everything being done for them. Like, it almost doesn't click in their head to
call 911.
Call 911. It's just like, oh, I'm going to film this
on the phone that you're holding.
I just
in your
assume
hand.
somebody else has called.
Not only this, but this particular house.
Maybe I don't want to believe
this particular house had a very, and I'm sure this guy knew this, but it had a very small sign on it, and it was an establishment, but it's still a house.
Yeah.
So in my mind, it still looks like a house. There still might be an apartment upstairs. Blah blah blah. The first thing you do is pound on the door or scream to see if anybody's in there. The next thing you do is you wake the neighbors up next door because they're right beside this. Do they have a hose? Do they want to? You know what I mean? Like anything. Like call 911. Do something.
Well, you videotape it, man.
You video it. In your lifetime, what would you describe as the incident? 844-999-OLA.
I mean, I'm just trying to think. I think it was only like 2 years ago. I was walking to work and saw a building, like a giant fireball go out of it. And it was, because you could see it from the old deck.
Yeah.
But, I was walking up the street, and I assume other people had called, but I was like, I better still call 911.
Yeah, call anyway.
That building's on fire.
Right.
You just don't know. It's amazing. Hello, Jeremy. Welcome to the men's room.
Hey, guys. How you doing?
Hola.
All right. So my incident was I was getting divorced about 15 years ago, and I had a couple buddies that wanted to give me like a You're No Longer Divorced party and get a stripper. So we went up to my one buddy's house, and right off the bat, my buddy that we went to his house at is a raging alcoholic, and sure enough, when we walked in, he was drinking, which means go away, don't stick around. So we start talking to him, and he has the Orange County Weekly out, but that's, back in the day, you look at the back page of that to find your strippers or whatever.
Right.
So he orders one over the phone while we're sitting there, and then he says, watch this, and he pulls his, not pellet gun, his BB gun out and puts it up against his chin and shoots himself, thinking it was empty. Well, then blood's pouring down his face, just massively, so he goes in the bathroom and puts this big bandage on his face, and then all of a sudden this lady shows up, and she's got this giant Samoan guy with her that he has to duck to get in the house,
Jesus.
kind of thing, and he's got a pistol in his waist. And so the girl comes in, and he stays outside, and my buddy that's drinking, he takes the guy out a couple beers and's drinking with them, and comes back in, and me and my other buddy are like, we're just going to send her on her way. And he's like, why? And it was just long story, but she didn't want to do what we wanted her to do. Mm-hmm. So it was like, all right, well, see ya. We gave her the 200 or whatever it was. And so our drunk buddy says, no, you're not going anywhere. And he has this cordless telephone in his hand. And so she says, well, what are you going to do? He says, I'll call the cops. And she laughs in his face. And he's got his front door shut and locked so that the big Samoan guy can't come in. And she laughs at him, so he takes the phone in his hand and punches her in the face.
Jesus Christ.
Hard. Oh, yeah. And she screams, he hit me. And that kicked on my run as fast as you can muscles. And I just started running down his hallway, which I realized then I was back in the bedrooms. I'd never been back there before. And he had those old aluminum-style windows that kind of weld themselves shut over time.
Yeah.
And I couldn't get it open, and that would have got me out into the front of the house. My other friend had ran out the back, so we were separated, and he had the car keys and all that. And so I start horse-kicking the window, trying to kick the window out. As I'm doing that, I hear what sounds like a truck hitting the house, but it was the Samoan guy kicking the door in. My brain just couldn't register what it was, but it just sounded terrifying. So I ran back down the hallway because I couldn't get out the way I went, and I could see my buddy in the backyard waving at me with probably the same look I had on my face.
Did you get the hell out of there?
Well, so as I'm running back, the door flies open.
Hang on, man. Hang on.
Yeah, we got to put John
we will get to
tried.
Just hang on.
The music means wrap it up. In your lifetime, what would you describe as the incident? 844-999. Ola, more of your calls on the way. You are listening to the Men's Room Radio Network.
Welcome back to the Men's Room with Miles and Thrill.
Drunk and Charge Rock Castle coming into Sit and Spin today. Top 10 highest earning dead celebrities. Yes, most of them are, in fact, musicians. That's kind of coming up with Sit and Spin. Our question in your lifetime, what would you describe as, quote, the incident? 844-999. Ola.
And we have Jeremy on the line. And Jeremy, if we can recall your story so far. It's a bachelor party. You guys hire a...
No, divorce party.
Divorce party.
Divorce party.
You hire a stripper to show up, or whatever the case is. Now, when she shows up, she's with, as you say, a giant Samoan dude who's also packing heat. She does not want to perform whatever it is, and we won't ask. Whatever it is that you guys wanted her to perform, that's above her pay grade, so to speak.
Yeah.
Your one very drunk friend who shot himself previously with a BB gun in his own chin because he's a moron has some kind of debate with this woman, punches her in the face. Samoan dude is now entering the home, and you're trying to escape, right?
Yep. And so I intersect with the whole, he's coming in the house and hitting my friend right at the same time as I'm running down the hallway and see it. And I just see him, like, throw a little jab at him, kind of connect and pop his head back, and then this uppercut. And that guy, this friend, was about 5'6", a little guy, maybe 140 pounds. So it was like a cartoon. He was flying through the air from that uppercut like you wouldn't believe. And I ran through the backyard and then met up with my friend in the backyard, and then we contemplated jumping the fence. But the people behind had two huge dogs, so we ended up running up the front as we see them racing off in their car and got in ours and left. But the most irritating part of it for me was the next morning, my so-called friend that caused all this calls me and says, "Hey, I had to go to the emergency room last night. I had a BB lodged in my chin." You know how that happened?
He had no recollection of any of this.
No recollection. Well, who knows? But he said he had no recollection. I didn't believe it at the time. Maybe he really didn't.
Yeah.
But he also didn't remember the entertainer coming over, didn't remember any of that stuff, and so I just hung up on him and never spoke to him again.
Wow.
Yeah.
Damn, man.
I don't blame you.
I don't know. There's plenty of stories that I don't remember. You're blackout drunk. Generally, when people fill in the blanks, it's entertaining. I didn't do anything too bad, but do you want to remember a giant Samoan dude beating your ass, or do you not?
Probably not. I just rather go with the fact that I shot myself in the face with a BB gun.
Yeah.
I mean, that whole story's terrible.
It is.
Right, like, they punched, like, it sounded like...
That guy
like
sounds like an ass.
Right, like...
He shot himself in the chin. He punches a chick because she won't do whatever it is they asked her to do, and then ends up getting dropped by her huge bodyguard and has no recollection of any of this.
In your lifetime, what would you describe as the incident? 844-999-OLA.
Hello, Travis. Welcome to the men's room.
Hey, hola. First time caller, long time listener, I guess.
Well, welcome to the program, sir.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. So, I have a weird story. I was in Bellevue. I worked there. I'm an IT kind of person and work on computers. And so, I lived in the same house for 3 years, rented from this Russian guy that didn't live there, but, it was a pretty decent house. It was remodeled, and some guy moved in and making all kinds of noise in the night and all kinds of things. And so I was, basically I had to complain because I talked to the guy and he wasn't receptive to just being cool about it. And the cops came one day and they were like, "You got aggressive with this guy." And I'm like, "I've been in my room all day. I'm not even sure what you mean." And they were like, "All right." So they leave, and an hour later, they come back. I had some music playing, and I hear something in the driveway, and I go outside, and there's cops there, and quite a few of them, and they're like, "Oh, just who we want to talk to," and they're like, "So this guy says you've been aggressive with him, this and that." I'm like, "I haven't even spoken to this guy all day, and, he's been quite a nuisance since he moved in. He's parking behind my car, he's making noise at night, he's, doing all kinds of things, and I'm just trying to make the best of the situation, and, this and that." And I guess based on my record, the officer there was quite a few cops, but there was some kind of, superior officer there, and she didn't like my attitude, so she was like, let's arrest this guy. And I went to go back to my house, and a cop stood in front of my door, and I was just like, wow, that's pretty ridiculous. And so I'm in her car. She's the one that took me in or whatever, and we're on the way there, and I'm telling her what a joke it is and how I'm going to contact the Office of Professional Standards about, her conduct, and that, there was no reason.
Cops could not possibly care less, right? I mean, they can shoot you, go on trial, and get suspended.
No.
They're not worried about, I'm going to get in contact. They're like, go ahead.
Yeah, I know. And that's the thing is, I got all up on that subject, and she got on the radio, and she was like, "This guy threatened me just now." And I was like, "You've got to be kidding me." And she gets off at the next exit, and she turns around and goes to the nearest jail, which was King County. She was driving back to, Bellevue headquarters or whatever.
Did you get thrown in jail? Let's get to the jail. Did you get thrown in jail?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then how long did you stay? How long did you stay in there?
Yeah, no. So this is the funny part: is they accused me of felony harassing of a police officer because of that. And I was like, what's the deal? And I got to court eventually because they keep you in jail for a day or so or whatever, and then you go to court. And I'm hearing these charges, and she says I grabbed this gun in her car, which they have shotguns usually between their seats or whatever, and the barrel is visible.
Yeah. Did you grab the gun?
Yeah. No.
Okay.
And see, that's the thing is she said that, and like I was like, well, then prove it. You know, like my fingerprints aren't on the gun, like, you know, and the camera's in the jail, like whatever. And there was nothing other than her saying that, and they had me in jail for like 7 months, and like I was like, I
Wait,
lost my
7
job,
months?
I lost everything. Yeah, and
Wait,
like
how
I
were
lost
you in
everything.
jail for 7 months? Like, I mean, look, I went
they
to
had
jail.
me in jail for
Right.
felony harassment against a police officer.
And were your charges dropped eventually?
No, I mean, like, eventually what it got reduced to was, I think, some kind of felony, but it wasn't as serious as it was. But like,
Wait, you think some kind of man? Like, look, if I have a felony on my record, like, look, I've been to jail, but trust me, it wasn't a felony. It's overnight. It is what it is, right? But if I had a felony on my record, much like a kid with cancer, I could tell you exactly what it is.
And are you saying 7 months in jail, or they convicted you and you had to go to like prison?
No, they held me while they were doing court sessions and stuff, and that's not even the worst part, guys. I'm not done with this story. So
I know
I got released downtown and in Seattle, and I was like, holy crap, and so they were like the charges are pending, or, you know, some weird thing, and so I was just like scrambling to get my stuff out of the place I had been living in, because my landlord obviously had evicted me after 7 months.
So what happened in the end, though?
Yeah, like, what's the exciting part?
Well, okay, so like I was on my way back to get my stuff, and like I noticed somebody was following me on 405. It was this giant SUV, like white SUV, and I'm like, oh, that's weird. And so I'm like, I turn on to 520 because that's
Jesus Christ, you from California, buddy? Get to the point.
No.
What happened to the? Okay, the SUV comes up. What did it do to the car?
20 cops came out of nowhere, like right around that bend, like where you hook into 520. Like there was motorcycles, there was SUVs, there was, you know,
what happened?
Regular patrol cars.
I don't care if the freaking army came and got you. What happened?
They had me on my face, and you know, were like, hey, you know, you got this charge and this and that, and you know, it all ended up that I ended up with a felony.
Oh no! First time caller, last time caller, just eaten by the monster. I think I know why she put him in jail. I think I know why she put him in jail.
I just, look, he's going.
What did the text say? Give me some comments.
I don't even know. Like, I don't know if I'm angry. I don't know if I'm.
I am.
But it's
Did you
like,
hear me?
Are you effing with us? Or you?
Hey,
you know what I mean? Like, it's a story, and the whole thing about a story, right? The whole thing about a story.
Tell me.
There's a point.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. And
so I don't know. Like if you read the newspaper, if you go online and you read the news, what they do see is the headline. The first thing you see in all bold letters, sometimes underlined or even a different color or font to separate it from everything else is, here's the meat of what I'm going to tell you. Mm-hmm. All right. That's actually the important thing, the headline. The first paragraph you read sums up everything real nice. Not a lot of details, but it'll sum up essentially.
So you're not on the 502.
And then if you get to the second paragraph, it gives you a few more details. And by the time you get to the end of the story, you're just reading nonsense 9-10 times out of 10. Somehow this guy's headline was like the last paragraph of a news story. It was like, for more information, call so-and-so. But we don't know what you're talking about. So some of the comments that come in, oh my God, worst radio ever. We don't know if that's about him or us.
Probably us. I'm going to guess that's
this guy saying that guy was lying, followed by yawn yawn. Bull S. Let's see.
I mean, people commit murder and get bailed.
Thank you, monster. This guy's an idiot, totally guilty. Someone calls for the gong. Hold on, let's look. Monster, please. Jesus Christ, just shoot me in the face and get it over with. that is an actual comment.
Just shoot me in the face and get it over with.
Let's see. Someone says, you guys have amazing patience. No, we don't, because you can't see us, believe me. Cut him off! Someone else cut this bitch off. Next caller. Cut him off. Gong him. Gong. The guy's an ass. Please make him go away. The guy sounds full of S. Gong? Can the monster eat this guy? I mean, it just goes zzz.
I'll take the fall for this
Shut
one.
this douche up. Come on, Miles. Keep it moving. You can speed this guy up.
Why are you
Stephen Wright?
Why are you
get to
taking
the
ball,
point.
Mike?
Boring.
Because
for the
he
love
did
of God,
have to
get to the
through
point.
me.
Where's the gong for this story?
He at some point needed to get through my screening process, and unfortunately, I'm not just letting people on through here. I do actually ask them to tell me a little bit of their story, so I think that was where I kind of benefited from hearing his story because, of course, his tone was relatively similar, but when I told him to, give me the short version, he got to the ending rather quickly, so I kind of thought that he would bring that to the on-air personality there, and he'd get to
like for a couple examples. No, first of all, and just so you understand the formatics of things, that way we can move things along. We play music when we have to go take a break. Now, sometimes that is a top of the hour ID break where we have to let our stations identify themselves, and we'll be right back in literally 10 seconds. It's just 10 seconds for station identification. You're listening to the Men's Room Radio Network, and we'll plug in what the radio station is. Other than that, when the music comes on and you're on there, even when you hear that means you got to wrap it up kind of quick. Because we're going to a break, and then we go to a break, it's going to take a while to come back from the break for you to continue your story, and you reset the story and everything else. But if you hear the music, just know you got to kind of work toward wrapping it up a little bit if you can. That would be a great help to us.
Holy S, dude is so long, he should be on your payroll. These are the comments that, they are just pouring in. I'd rather drag my boys through 2 miles of broken glass than listen to that again. I think he needs to go back to prison. The felony was wasting our time. Oh, my God, I'm on a construction site, walking on stilts 3 feet in the air, and I almost fell asleep. Yeah, that guy was not.
And that was the second guy.
Man, we're having.
But also, sorry, but it just doesn't make sense, right? That's what I'm saying. Like, people commit horrible crimes and still get bail. So, like, you were in there for 7 months.
Yeah.
And then they give you a bail hearing, and then they follow you home for a takedown.
Okay.
There's more to the story, man. Like, come on.
What did he say at the end, Mike? What happened after he got taken down, after they secretly released him only to beat his ass with 30 people chasing him down the highway?
Then he didn't get off for anything, and yeah.
Okay. Well, that was exciting.
It really just did kind of dissipate.
Let's see what happens now. In your lifetime, what would you describe as, quote, the incident? 844-999-OLA.
I never thought I'd say this, but I miss Nacho Cheese Poop Lady.
I know. Like, I wish she was back. I would rather hear about her unexpected bowel movement in her car.
I would help get some of that out of there for her.
Yeah. So
that.
My God.
Reach my hand up in there and pull out the turd.
Hello, Shane. Welcome to the Men's Room.
Hola.
Hola.
Hello, Shane.
Let me see if I can liven it up just a little bit.
You already did.
Oh, there we go.
As soon as you said hola.
So I got a pro wrestling story for you guys because I know you guys somewhat like that stuff. So that was the thing that my dad and I did when I was younger, and one particular time I had the aisle seat. So they'd come down, go back up, and Tatanka was on his way back to the dressing room. And
now we're back. Go ahead.
What?
Go ahead. Another big Samoan.
No, well, some kid about my age, we were like 13 or 14, he hauls off and he just punches Tatanka right in the face.
Jesus.
So Tatanka comes back, he says a few swear words to him, and then hawks a loogie right in the kid's face.
Oh.
And then, so that was the beginning of it, and then Sid was in the main event with Bam Bam Bigelow, and he's coming down the aisle, and some drunk guy dumped his beer all over Sid, and Sid walks over to the usher and picks him up off his feet and kind of throws him into the guardrail thing that we were up against and knocks it back, and so we were kind of nudged back a couple feet. So yeah, that was a lively one, but I've never seen a wrestler hit or spit in somebody's face after that. But that was pretty entertaining.
Yeah, I bet it was. You got your money's worth.
Yeah.
I certainly did.
Yep.
That way your father did, but sure.
That's the real part of it.
Damn.
In your lifetime, what would you describe as the incident? 844-999-OLA.
Wrestling can be fun, too. I mean, back in the day, the first pair of boobs I ever saw were at a wrestling event.
Really? Why?
Because there was a guy. It was a big deal, Robin. Because there was a guy that was a pimp. I forget his name. Maybe it was like the Godfather or something. So basically, every town he went to, he would go to the local strip clubs and get his women that would come out to the ring with him and stuff. So we were parked in that parking garage, you know it, at the Baltimore Arena. And it's me, 3 of my buddies, and my buddy's dad, and we're yelling down at him. And then I don't know if somebody said something about the girls or whatever, and he was like, yeah, look at this, boys. And she pulled him out.
Oh, wow.
Oh, nice.
We were like, this is awesome.
I love wrestling.
Right, exactly. I'm going to watch wrestling forever.
Still have comments coming in, by the way. From
boy.
Yeah. I feel bad for whoever shared a cell with that guy for 7 months. That guy sucks the sweat off of a dead man's, you fill in the blank. The last call, oh, that's terrible. I vacuum my rug rather than listen to that guy. And then this one, the huge insult, as we've established here on the men's room. What a dinosaur.
Oh, can I call him a dinosaur?
He's a dinosaur.
In your lifetime, what would you describe as, quote, the incident?
Hello, Mitchell. Welcome to the men's room.
Hola.
Hola.
So my story is, when I was about 10, I was at this church event that was held at a school, and they had this rule: there was no running in the hallways. Well, we were playing tag, and I was it, and I wasn't paying attention to the rules, and I was very focused on my target. I was chasing down the hallway, and I never saw the doorpost that I sprinted directly into and split my head open all the way to the skull.
Oh, damn.
Do you have a line running up your face?
I've got a small scar. It's been enough years that it's not super noticeable, but yeah, I never lost consciousness. I was just screaming in a pool of blood in the hallway.
Wouldn't you have rather just lost consciousness? Mm-hmm. I mean, there's times where I've been in so much, I'm like, if I were in any more pain, I think I would black out, but somehow it's like I'm just under my full pain threshold, so it just hurts like every time I stub my toe, I'm like, I would rather just be unconscious and deal with this, because this sucks.
Man, oh man. And you soil the church. You're going to be hearing from Melody. In your lifetime, what would you describe as the incident? 844-999-OLA. Hold the line. More of your calls on the way. You are listening to the Men's Room Radio Network.
This is the Men's Room with Miles and Thrill.
Our question in your lifetime, what would you describe as the incident? According to ABC News, a housekeeper in Asheville, North Carolina, was stunned to find a 5-foot-long boa constrictor under the covers inside an empty hotel room. Police responded to the situation at the Roadway Inn and Suites and had the snake transported to an animal shelter until its owner could be located. Snake's owner, Neil Miller, somehow they found him. He said he was terrified when he realized he had left his 3-year-old Colombian red-tail boa behind while visiting a friend.
He didn't call the hotel to say, hey, 2 things. 1, I was there with my snake, and I'm pretty sure I left the snake there. 2, you want to let your staff know that if they see a snake, it's mine.
I set him down for 2 minutes and forgot about him. And then I walked out, said Miller, who revealed the snake's name as
Barney.
Chuck.
Chuck.
Miller arrived at the shelter to recover Chuck. Reunion was captured on video. Snake didn't seem to care one way or the other.
Because they wouldn't hug him.
Yeah.
Come on.
No charges were filed, and no one was injured in the mishap. In your lifetime, what would be what would you describe as being, quote, the incident? 844-999-OLA.
Hello, Dan. Welcome to the Men's Room.
What's going on, guys?
Hola.
So, my story was when I was about 19 or 20. We were waiting in the parking lot for one of my buddies going to the party like all little kids do. And he came up huffing and puffing and said 5 guys tried to jump him. So, already being a little liquored up, I jumped in the back of his truck. I was like, well, let's go find these guys.
Always a good idea.
Started driving around a neighborhood about 2 o'clock in the morning, and I saw 5 or 6 guys underneath a streetlight. So I asked them, I was like, hey, have you guys been trying to jump anybody? They circled the truck, and then all of a sudden there was a gun pointing to my nose.
And then from there, what happened?
That was a weird place for a pause. Did you die right then, or what happened?
Yeah, that's how I'm calling from heaven, guys.
We kind of figured.
Yeah.
There was this big pause.
Right.
So we figured you were gone.
No, so this guy just pointed a gun. He said, you don't roll up on a homie's house like that. And I looked at him, I was like, dude, don't your parents own that Mexican restaurant down the street? You're not a gangster. Don't try this. And then one of the other guys popped up. He goes, oh, hey, no, it's Dan. I got wood shop with this guy. Don't worry about it.
That's hardcore, man.
Yeah, that is.
No, I got him in shop class, man. He's all right. He can run a bandsaw like nobody.
That's some true gangster stuff right there.
You right
Are
now,
we
man.
wood shop together? Yeah, what up, man?
See this
You never
guy
know
over
who
there.
you know.
Yeah, I know.
This guy works
Damn.
magic with a rodder. In your lifetime, what would you describe as the incident? 844-999-OLA.
Hello, Sean. Welcome to the Men's Room.
Hola, bichuelas.
Hola. So what was your incident?
So I was around 13 or 14.
How old are you now?
29.
Okay.
I was going in to get my blood drawn, and I sat in the chair. Unfortunately, the nurse had trouble finding a vein. So I just sat there and did my best impression of a corkboard. About 15 minutes later, I was finally released. I got about 20 feet, just enough to get into the waiting room where my mom was waiting, and that's where everything went black.
Would you pass out?
Yep.
Oh, okay. I thought you were going to say like soul music came
right. Everything went black.
Yeah.
Welcome to the Soul Train. Take your blood now, dance, white boy.
Phlebotomist of black.
So yeah, I apparently passed out. Thankfully, there was a gentleman sitting right by the door who got up and caught me as I fell.
Okay. So in 29 years of life, this would be the incident.
Mm-hmm. Fainted after blood drawn. It's always weird when they can't find a vein because they keep digging around and it hurts like a mother. Like, come on, man.
Mike Hawk, did he give you the full story? Did you get the full story?
Yeah.
The beginning and the end of that one?
Kinda.
Yeah. That was amazing. That is amazing.
Mike.
What did
he told the wrong damn story is what he did.
Oh, he did?
God damn it.
I mean, what's going on with people?
Let me tell the one you won't care about.
In your lifetime, what would you describe as, quote, the incident? Jesus Christ.
Hola! The shenanigans continue on the Men's Room Radio Network.